Now, Apple claims that the browser on the iPhone 4S is about 2 times faster than the one found on the iPhone 4. So we're going to try and do some side-by-side comparisons here, and of course, we're nothing scientific, but we're going to try and do them as fast as I can as far as activating both to load both web pages at the same time. So on the left here, I've got the iPhone 4S, and on the right, I've got an iPhone 4. Both of them have had their caches cleared and their history cleared on the web browser, so we should be starting fresh. And we're both hooked up to a cellular or a Wi-Fi network, so we're taking the cellular networks out of the equation here. So let's take a look. So let's load up mobileburn. Okay, and we're going to hit go on both of them. As you can see, they both loaded up our mobile version, and the iPhone 4S beat out the iPhone 4 by just a tad. Let's try the full site, which is a little bit heavier. And you can see the iPhone 4S there brought up text a bit faster than the iPhone 4, and it brought up the other elements quicker as well. But they both finished pretty quickly. The iPhone 4 was certainly no slouch when it came to web browsing speeds, but the iPhone 4S is showing to be a little bit faster. Now, of course, with the iPhone 4S, you don't have any flash support because it's an iOS device, but it does support most other web formats for web standards for HTML5 and such. You got double tap to zoom, so you can zoom in by double tapping. You've got pinch to zoom, which is as fluid as ever with iOS. And you've got embedded HTML video. And which allows you to open videos like our YouTube video right there in the YouTube app. There we go. Let's go back to our web browser here. Let's just do a little more speed testing. See if we can open up an article here. Alright, so I'm going to try and do this at the same time again. And you can see the iPhone 4S did jump a little bit ahead of the iPhone 4. And it's done. And then the iPhone 4 is now done. Now, another thing that's new for the iOS 5 system, the iOS 5 browser, is Apple's new Reader mode, which gives you a stripped-down view of websites. It takes away all the ads and just presents the text, so it's easy to read and digest. You can control certain things like the font size, or you can send it to various sources. Okay, we're going to do one more speed comparison here, and what I have again is the iPhone 4S. I went ahead and cleared out the cache in the Safari browser, and next to it I have the AT&T Samsung Galaxy S2. It's one of the fastest Android handsets on the market. I've cleared out the cache on the browser as well, so we're just going to do a side-by-side browser comparison here. So let's open both up, and we're going to do the same test that we did earlier. So we're going to go to mobileburn. Alright, I'm going to try and hit them exact same time. You can see there the Samsung Galaxy S actually beat out the iPhone 4S in loading the page, but they both completed about roughly the same time. Let's check out the full site. And you can see the iPhone 4S has presented text before the Samsung and has actually finished loading the page ahead of the Samsung. Now the Samsung is also loading in the background flash ads there, so it will take a little bit longer to load, as you might expect. But even before everything was loaded, the iPhone 4S did load the text first, which is generally the most important part of what you want to see on a website. Let's do one more comparison here. We're going to try and open this article at the same time. And once again, we've got text on the iPhone. And that is complete. And now the Samsung Galaxy S2 is complete, but as I mentioned earlier, we do have the flash embedded ads going on with the Samsung that would expectedly provide it or slow it down a little bit, but both are very, very fast as far as browsing goes these days. Now, the other headline feature on the iPhone 4S is its new 8 megapixel camera, which is capable of recording 1080p video with image stabilization on the video. So that's a bit of an upgrade over the 720p and 5 megapixel camera that we saw on the iPhone 4. The other thing that's really improved, or according to Apple, is that the camera is much faster. So it opens faster, it takes pictures faster. It's one of the supposed fastest cameras on the market. So let's open it up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open it from the lock screen, one of the new features of iOS 5. If you hit the home key twice, you got a shortcut button to open it from the lock screen. Now, this, of course, is autofocus. So you can autofocus by tapping the screen. And it also has face detection focus, so if you're taking a picture of a person, you can use face detection. You've got some basic controls for your flash. You can turn on and off the grid, or Apple's HDR mode for higher detail and high contrast situations. And then you can switch the camera from the rear camera to the front-facing VGA camera. Over here you've got your toggle to switch between video and stills. And let me flip it over, because the other new thing that we have here on iOS 5 is the ability to use the volume up key to take a picture. Now, there's a little bit of a downside to that, and as you can see, as I hold the phone naturally, my finger kind of falls right in front of the camera lens as I'm holding onto the phone. So you have to be very conscious of it, that you're not holding your finger in front of the lens, or you're going to be blocking the lens or the flash. So let's snap a picture here. As you can see, it's very fast. It's very quick to keep up with me as I just rattle away pictures. And then, of course, you can take a look at your pictures right there in the camera roll afterwards. And you can pinch to zoom. Very fast and fluid response. Let's go back to our camera here. The other thing that's new that you can do is you can pull in your recent pictures, like is a feature we've seen on Windows Phone 7 devices. You have the ability to check out your last photo by just dragging the screen over. Let's take a look at the video here. So you can record in 1080p video, which does feature autofocus as well. So it will continuously autofocus. And it's got Apple's new image stabilization feature. So it will continuously autofocus. And it's got Apple's new image stabilization feature. So there you go. You got 1080p video there with the iPhone 4S. Very impressive. It's hard to demonstrate how good the video and image quality is coming from the iPhone 4 in our little video demonstration here, but it is very good and very impressive, and some of the best that we've seen from a smartphone, without a doubt. So there you go. That's a quick look at the Apple iPhone 4S. Now, externally, the iPhone 4S looks exactly the same as the outgoing iPhone 4 from last year. However, internally, we've got a bunch of upgraded components. You've got a new dual-core processor, and we've got the new 8-megapixel camera with 1080p video recording. The bigger story here might be iOS 5, that gives a number of new features and enhancements to the platform that addresses a number of the complaints that have been levied against Apple's iOS system. So we've got a new notification system that's better than before, and of course the new iMessage system and the iPhone 4S exclusive Siri voice control system, which is very impressive and works pretty well. If you happen to be an iPhone 4 user right now, you can get most of those features by just upgrading your iOS version up to iOS 5. You will gain the new notification system, the reminder system, and the iMessage system. The only thing really that you won't get is the Siri voice control. Otherwise, the iPhone 4S is faster than before, and it is a bit smoother, even though iOS 5 or iOS itself was never really laggy or choppy on the iPhone 4. It was always a pretty good performer, but the iPhone 4S just does a little bit better. The camera is very impressive. We're very impressed with the optics and the image quality and the video quality coming from it. But if you're not a huge picture taker, the iPhone 4's 5 megapixel camera is very good as well. The iPhone 4S does come in 3 capacities now, so you can get it in 16 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes, or 64 gigabytes, which is the most that we've seen from an iPhone in the past. So if you do need more storage, the iPhone 4S does provide it for you. And if you happen to be a user on Verizon or Sprint, the iPhone 4S is a global phone, so you can travel overseas with it and be able to roam on GSM networks overseas. The iPhone 4S is available now. 16 gigabyte version starts at $199, 32 gigabyte is $299, and the 64 gigabyte is $399. And now in the United States, you can get that on AT&T, Verizon Wireless, or Sprint. And of course, there's many carriers across the world that are carrying the iPhone 4S as well. So there you go. That's a quick look at the Apple iPhone 4S. This is Dan Sievert from mobileburn.com.